Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Today we are here to discuss The Town of Babylon by Alejandro Varela. Not sure. Um,
Also,
so
can we
let's,
take
yeah.
a moment to give this book a round of applause because this has been in our polls for since the
Oh my God,
inception of the
yes,
27 book
yes,
club.
yes. It has been in our polls since it came out. And this is it a 2022 release,
Yep.
maybe?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a long time coming, but we're here. We did it. Also,
Yeah.
do you have the paperback?
Yeah, I have the paperback. Do you?
Interesting. No, I have the hardback.
I know. And normally we don't get like these large floppy paperbacks in the US, but
Yeah.
I bought this used, so I don't know if that's
Hmm.
yeah, something happened. But
Yeah.
I gave this like 4.75 stars, so it was well worth the
Oh,
wait. Yeah, I loved it.
damn. Okay, for me, it was a solid four.
Okay,
I
fair.
didn't like love, but I loved. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, this was a 4 star for me, like a solid four. I really like the writing. I don't know if this author has any other books out, but I'll definitely check it out. Do you know?
I'm gonna look
I
it
don't
up
think so,
right
right?
now.
I think this is his debut, but I don't know. It has been 2 years, so maybe he has published it or something
He
else.
has The People Who Report More Stress. It's a collection which came out in 2023, and it's a collection of
Oh,
interconnected stories.
interesting.
So that sounds good because
But
I love short stories.
yeah, same. But it's all by the same author, by him, right? It's
Yes.
not an anthology. Okay. Okay, interesting. But I really like the writing, and I really like the characters. Honestly, I liked everything. I don't know. It was a 4 star. What I didn't like, but also I think it has to do with my reading experience. I'm not like you were saying before. I'm not really in a physical mood read,
Yeah.
and so it took me a while to get through this book, and I felt like that kind of like impacted my liking of the book, you know, and I don't know if it's a book that will stick in my mind as much as I would have liked it to. But but yeah, overall I liked it. What did you like about it?
I think this. I think I needed this book because I've been really like struggling with like the dread and anxiety that comes from living in a capitalistic society and like seeing it crumble before your eyes and seeing how it affects the whole world in horrible ways. And there's like a lot of, like I said, dread that comes with that. And I feel like I've been very sensitive to that dread and like just like bleak about the future of the world. Um, and I feel like this main character was so much like that. And it was so comforting to read his thoughts and like kind of how the author decided to kind of ease those anxieties and like here's the best thing you can like his or what the here's how the main character decides to cope with these things and these worries that like we're having in real time right now. So I feel like this book like it just came at the perfect time because obviously like these struggles aren't new.
Yeah.
But for me, I was just like, this has been on my mind like predominantly for like the last year, I would say. Like kind of a lot of the same anxieties of like, how do I live my life ethically,
Hmm.
as best as I can? Like, do I just flee the country, move somewhere else and start a new life or something? Or like, blah, blah, blah. Like, and like how good is anything like overanalyzing or overthinking every one thing you do because like it all can be rooted back to like colonization and like exploitation. um so I really liked that because it was just like so modern, and I think it's just like a book that can provide a lot of comfort and maybe even inspiration for like other young adults slash
Yeah.
adults
And
struggling.
did you take anything like any, I don't know, a like not an objective, but like did you get anything out of it from having those anxieties and reading this book of like, oh, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna like try and brush it off, like just anything from it.
Well, I thought like it was interesting how by the end of the book, the main character, spoilers, um,
Yeah.
decides to stay with his husband, who he like they've both been in separate affairs, and they're just trying to like heal that. And he decides at the end of the book that to put the effort into heal that, rather than walking away or starting something new or going back to that fling with the guy he was having the affair with. Um, and also, like, I thought it was really interesting how he just decides to spend more time and put more energy into his parents and like the relationships he already has. And I thought that was like very meaningful. I feel like that's kind of the message I took away from it, because like you can't solve all the issues; they're not going to go away, but you can control like what you do and um, what is more fruitful for you and like the life you want. And I feel like he did make those decisions by the end of the book and kind of got rid of just kind of accepting things for how they are, especially with it, like the relationship with his brother too. So I feel like that kind of like that is the inspiration of just like accepting things and moving on with them, you know?
Yeah. And just like almost like not focus so much on the past and the future and just like focus on the present. That's the only thing that you can control
Yeah.
is like the present and how you deal with things like in the moment right now. So yeah, I feel that. I feel that. I do understand your thing about like you've been struggling with that, so it really comforted you. But to me, I don't know, maybe it almost had not the opposite effect, but kind of like showed me all of these things that aren't okay in the world, and I'm just like I wasn't thinking about that, and now I am thinking. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I still really liked that aspect of the main character. I really liked her main character. He annoyed me a lot of times,
Yeah.
but I liked seeing the world through his eyes. And yeah, what did you think about Simone, his friend?
Ooh, oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
That was oh, I felt so bad for her. She was just like our main character was just such a bad friend to him to her, but like not in the like not that he's at fault for anything that happened, but she was just like a victim of so many bad circumstances and like
Yeah.
failures. But I thought she was one of the more interesting parts of the book, and maybe like the part that I felt the most like compassion for and love for. Like I wanted the most for her.
Yeah.
And I think it's just such an important discussion of like how mental illness and like societal failures are like so intertwined that you like some like your loved ones cannot tell them apart. So I thought that was just like really brilliant, really brilliantly, whoa, really
Brilliantly.
brilliantly done. And I feel like we don't really see like I haven't seen it that often in like literary fiction, that sort of heartbreaking representation of like I see it a lot in nonfiction where like people are struggling with mental illness and family members and the support system just don't know how to help them. But I feel like to see it in fiction, this was like because you were able to care for this person and love them and see their future and see like them in their normal state, and then you see that ripped away from them too.
Yeah. Yeah, and she was such a like a lively character as well. Like she was in like the worst possible situation, but she was still so like
Yeah.
almost positive about everything. And really like upbeat because she was seeing her friend that she hadn't seen in so long, and she was just like so happy that someone was there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And I think like her storyline, but a part of it that's so haunting is like how it's cyclical to her father's.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, I love stories when you get like snippets on all the different characters and all their lives, and everyone just becomes like a full-fledged person right before your eyes.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that. Um, and I think like we talk about like the model minority, and her family were they were doing everything they could within their power to like break um, generational curses that some people like to
Mm-hmm.
call them, um, and trying to protect her as much as possible. And like it still wasn't enough, and they couldn't even protect him. And then it just like fell. It's oh, everything about Simone's story was so interesting and so like human, and I loved reading it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted her to get a better ending than his name's Andres.
Andres, yeah.
Yeah.
Andy or
Andy.
Andres. Yeah.
But there was one part when he went, I think maybe it was the first or second time he went to visit her, and I like Andy as much as like he was so real, but there was this one part where he visits her in the hospital, and it's on one. My page is on 83 in my book,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes, I scanned the bright room, the bars on the windows, and all the trapped inhabitants whose previously curious gazes have transformed into a ring of baleful stares, as antagonistic as they are hungry. I feel warm and a bit tingly in my hands. I tell myself that whatever everyone shares in this space isn't contagious. I can leave whenever I want to. They can't keep me here if I suddenly spin out. And this pissed me off so much, but I thought it was so interesting because, like, Andy, like, if you asked him, he's probably like the most liberal person he knows, and he probably gets a lot of pride from this. I'm having a big astrology moment, and he's giving me Aquarius sun because I'm also an Aquarius sun, and that's how I see myself. So I'm clocking it. Like, I know you. I know you agree. So then for him to be like, I'm so liberal and I'm so woke and I know so much, and then to have this reaction about someone,
Yeah.
one of his closest friends, like in a like mental hospital, like it was just like, girl.
But at the same time, it makes it real because like even the most liberal person in the
Yeah,
world is gonna like be judging other people,
yeah,
like even though they don't want to. It's just like we're framed that way. We're framed to see a mental institution as something that we want to stay away as much as far away as possible. So yeah, it makes it real. It makes it
yeah.
real.
So and that's what I love too, because it's um like no one's perfect, no one has a perfect stance on anything.
Hmm.
And it's like I also think it shows a lot about Andy's character too. um
Yeah.
and kind of like his double standards and where like his ethics aren't as strong. And like I feel like even his like perception of Simone, like he always just thought she was like kind of unhinged and maybe like a loose screw who was always like a live wire or something. I'm
Mhm.
using so many like, I don't know what the word is for them, but like sayings that don't actually mean anything. Like if you know what they're supposed to mean, like I feel like he just thought that she was crazy, the whole time.
Mhm.
And then like as he gets to know her and like become more familiar with her, he's like, oh wait, you're still the same person I used to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was another interesting arc for him to deal with and for us to see.
Mhm. And what do you think about Simone not thinking she's a lesbian?
Wait, what am I?
Where is it? Um, I don't know where it is, but she mentions something about like not liking girls or something, and then on page 228, um, this was probably the only thing I tabbed in this book. I don't know why. I wonder if Simone's adult onset homophobia is a reflection of self-hatred or a coping mechanism. Do you remember that? It was so. I felt like it was such a small part in the book.
I do remember.
I don't even remember where it's first mentioned. I just have this tapped. But it continues. Is it possible that life in her head is scary enough without adding the complications of sexuality and its concomitant? I don't know how to say this. Layer of discrimination. It has something. It has to be something like this. She was, after all, a lesbian. She can suddenly not be. So yeah, it was so interesting. This point of like, life is so scary in her head that she had to like turn this part off. Of herself.
And I remember like in the chapter that was from her mom's perspective, she was talking about like how she did like one of the ways she could tell that her husband was like about to have like another wave or something, or like that he wasn't doing well mentally, was like when he became very extremist or something. She like learned to pick up on that, and then she started saying the same thing in Simone. Like, so I think around this time Simone was like struggling, and I think she became like very religious and was like telling Andy about like her anti-gay views or something. And I think
that was it.
Yeah, and I also underlined this because he said maybe she was simply self-assured in her sexuality, like a Canadian. And I was like, what does that mean?
I didn't understand that as well. I remember reading it and I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to accept it and move on. I have no idea.
Like, yeah, I really didn't know how to take that. Because you had me in the first half, but then you said that and I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't know what he was trying to say, but maybe he's had some experience with a Canadian to prove this point. I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't know if they're referring to like Canadians being self-assured in their own sexuality or Canadians being self-assured in their identity as Canadian. Either way, you lost me.
Yeah, the only thing I know about Canadians that is like a stereotype is that they're really nice. that's the only stereotype that I know of, but I don't know, maybe there is a stereotype about self-assuredness in sexuality or something.
Maybe we're just not well educated on Canadians.
Yeah, is the author Canadian? No, I was just thinking like no, he's based in New York, so
yeah, not Canadian, but I wonder what his thoughts on Canadians are. We should ask.
I also think so. Oh my god. What did we think about the affair? I was really mad about that. And I was mad that at the end he got together with his husband, even though like his husband did the same thing, I know, but it's so,
yeah,
I don't know. I couldn't put myself in his shoes, honestly.
That yeah, that was a little wild because I think
it was.
First of all, the whole premise, like seeing someone at a high school reunion, like and hooking up with the person that you used to hook up with in high school, already is like a turnoff, and then, but also being actively married while you do all of that, wild place to start. So, but I like that because it's just like so many gray areas.
Yeah.
So you're like, there's no right or wrong anywhere. It's just all wrong, but it's like degrees of wrong. So I, like, as much as I thought like it was shitty of Andy to do everything he was doing, I really thought of like the real villain was the guy that he was hooking up with. Because he's a father. He has how many kids? His wife who doesn't know of the affair, thinks he's a straight man, doesn't know him in the way that Andy, like the way that you would want to know your partner. So I think he made the right decision by the end of the book.
Yeah, I also think he made the right decision, but it was just so upsetting.
Yeah.
For him to like, you know, for them to continue a normal life after cheating on each other. But that's me.
I know, because I really like, but I think they both had that whole thing where they're like, okay, we're not gonna like judge each other. We're just gonna try and
Hmm.
fix it, which is
Yeah.
like, a mature stance to take. But cheating is, it feels like a non-negotiable. But hey, to each their own.
Yeah, to each their own, exactly. Um, and I really liked, like you were saying before, the chapters where we got to see other characters that weren't even like side characters and were just like part of the like bigger picture of the
Yeah.
main characters and side characters. So I really liked the chapters. It was more so at the beginning from their parents and Andres and what is his brother's name?
Was it Bob?
Andres and was it what?
Bob?
No, it was not Bob. Um,
Henry?
oh my God, Henry. Yes,
Okay.
but his name was like Enrique or something. Um, but yeah, I really liked the chapters at the beginning about his parents, and
Yeah.
I also loved the whole thing of like Andres and Enrique, I think that's the name, growing up and kind of like reclaiming this like a more American name. And then once Andres went into adulthood, like reclaiming back his name and being like, no, this is who I am. And correcting everyone that was calling him Andy. I thought that was really interesting because it really it, I don't know, during our school years, we're really trying to mask as someone else and trying to be like
Mm.
someone else. And obviously, I can't speak for like being other something other than white, but like even as a white person, I try to like I don't know change so many things about myself to fit in, and changing your name just is so is so much, and it's I don't know. It was just so interesting to see that transformation of them like changing their name and then reclaiming their name and all of that. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. That's really interesting. And I think it's interesting how I only remembered his name as Andy.
Really?
Yeah.
I remembered Andres, but I don't remember his brother's name because it was mostly like Henry throughout the whole book. But in the chapter where we're following the mom, we see the name. I think it's Enrique or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Enrique. I just saw it. Yeah, Enrique and Andres. Yeah, that's it.
Do you want to talk about their relationship, the brothers?
Oh,
Because I
yeah.
thought this book was like mostly. Hold on, let my dog out.
I can't see her.
Bailey,
Bailey.
she's over.
Oh, she's gone. She was like, I don't want anything to do with this.
She was like, "I'm off the clock." Absolutely not. But
Oh my God. Yeah.
I kind of thought the plot of this book was more like, I thought this was going to be more centered around grief, and like it is. But I thought it would be more about like him and his brother and like their relationship, and I kind of feel like that was more minor than what I had expected. So curious about your thoughts.
Honestly, I went into this blind. I didn't even read the plot, so I had no expectations. But I thought it was really interesting his relationship with his brother and how they were always like compared to each other, and yeah, I guess that's it. I don't know. I don't remember that part of the book that well, honestly. Um, how did he die? He died like with a heart attack Was it a heart attack? It was something medically, like something medical,
Yeah, and
right?
I remember him like kind of getting his life together in the last couple weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
then kind of having maybe it was a brain aneurysm or something like
Yeah, something like that, right?
yeah, something that was like kind of unpreventable, untreatable, and he
Mm-hmm.
just died from it. Um, so that was sad.
Yeah, but yeah, I honestly don't remember that part of the book that well. I'm sorry.
No,
Should
that's
have.
okay. I've just been seeing more people talk on TikTok about like signs of death, which like people can only
What?
yeah. And it made me think of this book because like these are people who like have lost someone and they're like
Mm-hmm.
you only realize that they were signs after the fact. Um
Mm-hmm.
and they're saying like sometimes like kind of the whole thing with Henry where he got his life together like in the last like sometimes or sometimes as a pattern I guess like they've noticed that and this is like a cultural thing like sometimes if you hear an owl crying or singing that's a sign that death is coming or I saw like a TikTok of this elderly dog whose like medication wasn't responding to the dog's cancer wasn't responding to the chemo anymore. And when the woman got home with her dog from the vet, there was a bird flying around in her apartment, and that's like in her culture a sign of like death is near.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like this one person talking about how her brother died, and in the last couple of months of his um, life, he was like going to the gym. He was working. He like went back to college. He like repaired his relationships with his kids and his like family. And then like he, in a week, he died from a tragic car accident. And in the week before he was killed, he felt pain in his head and his back, exactly where he was going to be hit a week later.
What?
Yeah, so I like there's no science or what to it, but it's just like I feel like there were kind of like signs of that too, where in
Mm-hmm.
retrospect, I mean maybe it's all just like opinion. But I thought like that was interesting because like he had that element too where like he finally looked like he was getting his life together or like gonna move forward like with his kids, his job. Andres and him were gonna like they were finally starting to understand each other, and then all of that like ended. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. Um, I have something like I dog-eared this page, but I don't really know what I was trying to to say here. But this is an interesting page. It's on page. Maybe you have something underlined that I don't have.
Cool.
It's on page 250 because I feel like these two pages have a lot of interesting ideas, but I just completely forgot to underline anything. Do you have anything underlined?
No.
No. So, I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll just move on. I was thinking maybe you were reading my mind while reading.
Some I normally do, but this time, um, I think it's like the pointlessness, the American life, and like once you're in it, it's like, um, just about capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I didn't underline.
Yeah. And do you have anything underlined that you want to share?
Yes. Um, so this is on page 205, and it's Andre saying this about his lover Jeremy. And
Oh no.
he said he
Yeah.
was a living embodiment of an invasion of my privacy, and I hated him for it, for having unauthorized access. I also loved him for it. And I thought that was a very Aquarius sun thing to say. So, I was like, I get that.
Yeah.
And this, I've been noticing, really like latched onto the idea of like, don't be friends with someone just because the only thing you have in common is your past.
Mm.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's them right here.
That, yeah, I like that quote because I hate when I'm out with friends from like high school or something, and everything we talk about is, oh, remember when this happened or this person did this in high school? Like, I am not in high school. Like, I don't want to go back there.
Yeah.
So I hate those types of friends. I really do, and I try to stay far away from them because I don't know. It's just like, tell me about your life. Tell me about your goals, your future. Like, why are we talking about the past? So I love that quote. What was it? Can you tell me again?
Thank you. Don't
I
stay
love
friends
it.
with people who, or don't be friends with people who the only thing you have in common is your past. There
Mhm.
might be another easier, like a shorter way of saying it, but those are my words.
I love it. um, but why did you think he loved him for it though?
Because I
Because
like it's when someone knows you, I think it's easier to hold on to that and to like love them for that. But
Mhm.
it's not necessarily that they know you, it's just that they have history with you. So like, or
Mhm.
like the distinction of like I like this person versus I have history with this person. Just because we have shared history doesn't mean like I want to be with you now,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
in like a friendship or relationship or anything. And I think a lot of times people are like, just because we're comfortable together and we're used to it, we mistake that for this being a functional, like healthy friendship.
Mhm.
Um, and I think like Andres was having that when he was like, this guy knows me, we have a past together, and that feels good
Yeah.
because he knows me in a way um, that my husband will
Yeah.
never know me because he
It's
knows me from my
comfortable.
hometown.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Any more quotes?
Um, I tapped a lot, but I like just the kind of the discussions it had on immigration,
Mhm.
um, and how like his parents immigrated to the U.S. and like their struggles didn't end once they got here,
Mhm.
and like now a lot more of like their struggles became missing their family and their support system and their homeland, and then like trying to adapt to the U.S. So I liked that a lot, like just bringing that up often. Mhm.
Also, we haven't still talked about the character of
That wacko,
Paul. Yeah. Was it Paul? I think that was his
yeah,
name. Yeah. That was something.
yeah. Can I share one quote and then we can talk
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah,
all of
sure.
one? So my quote is on page 29,
Mm-hmm.
and um, it's the last sentence of the chapter, or one of the last sentences. He says, I don't know if I was aware of how hard I was trying, but somewhere in me, I sensed that if I ever stopped performing, even for a moment, the audience would leave. So in a way, I left first. It never occurs to me that they remained in their seats. And I think this is like, I just,
What is he referring to? Is he referring about like leaving his hometown, or maybe I
yes.
have to read the. Okay.
This is like when he's at the reunion and talking to the people
Oh,
who,
okay, 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 okay.
yeah. So he's like conflicted with that, and I really like that. It felt very much like Mirrorball. Um,
Yeah.
um, So I thought that was a really pretty quote. But to talk about Paul and that whack job,
Yeah.
I was petrified when he got in the car with him, and
I
then
was so scared.
yeah, and then even like when he confronted him, I was like, this is a really stupid thing to do because like normally when violent, angry men get mad, they kill more people.
Yeah.
And you don't normally want people to know that you know their darkest secrets.
Yeah.
So don't be alone and confront him about it.
Yeah, I honestly was thinking that he was gonna try and make a move on Andre. Did you think that as well?
Did I think what?
Did you think he was gonna try and make a move on Andres?
Um,
Because I was thinking that. I was thinking, oh, he's been doing this because he was like suppressed, you know. I thought that was where that whole plot point was going, but
yeah,
not really.
I don't think that ever crossed my mind, but that was the deal with his dad, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Um, so I don't remember if I like ever explicitly worried about like Paul attacking. Like I thought he would get violent, and I feel like if he would have tried to make a move, like kissing wise on Andres, I think that would have turned violent no matter what.
Yeah,
Um,
probably. Hmm.
so like I saw that happening, but I don't think I was ever like worried that he was gonna like, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, I was thinking that, but I also was pleasantly surprised that I was wrong because
Yeah.
I hate knowing what things are gonna happen in books. So glad that didn't happen. Um, yeah, but that was something. Kids
Yeah.
are stupid.
Men are stupid. And oh my gosh, wait, can we talk about the last line
What last line
of the
of the
book?
book?
Yeah,
I
because
don't
that to me
remember.
was what sold it. That was like the perfect last line. Um, it was
Oh, about Venus.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, because that was something that they talked about.
yeah, and like her still getting second, or that she no, it's a shame about that, but it was still one of Venus's best years, even if she didn't win a damn thing. This made me think.
Hmm.
I just read a book called The Queer Art of Failure,
Ooh.
and they talked a lot about like capitalism and how like in races and competitions everything is like first, second, third. And there
Hmm.
was this one photographer who was photographing marathons, and she was photographing people that she was like people who came in fourth place, which is the
Hmm.
first like place you can get and not get a medal.
Yeah.
um and like she like they started talking about in the book how like no one would call anyone who got fourth place like a loser. Like you didn't lose the marathon, but in the words of Abby Lee Miller, anyone who didn't like second place is the first place to lose. So you did technically lose, but we don't see it that way. And like capitalism is very structured for wins and losses. You're either a winner
Hmm.
or you're not. You're first, second, or third, or you're all losers. And even if you're second, like Abby said, you're the first to lose.
Yeah.
So I thought that was just the perfect, perfect way to wrap the book up and to leave it on like a
Yeah.
hopeful note.
Hmm.
And I don't really remember how like Venus was. Um, like I don't really remember where the sports reference came in, or if like they were talking about tennis like throughout the book or something. But
Yeah, they talked about it some other times about like that was something that they discussed often about like
okay,
tennis, and Andres was really interested in tennis even like in the present. But yeah, I don't understand anything about tennis, so but I know Venus is a real Serena, so that
yeah.
was enough.
But I think that was also such a, like such a awesome choice because it's like you get used to them bringing it up,
Hmm.
and then the last time they bring it up, it's like wow. That was beautiful.
Foreshadowing, yes.
Foreshadowing, yeah.
I love foreshadowing.
Getting us comfortable to blow our socks off. Thank you, Alejandro.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm so sleepy. You have no idea.
Well,
I guess you can tell. What? Sorry?
That's all I want to say, so we can end the live show.
No, if you have anything else to say, please say it. Don't mind
No,
me.
I'm good. I raved. I'm happy.
Yeah. I also really liked it. I think I was just looking at the plot, seeing if we kind of like went through all of the bigger like things. But yeah, I think so. I feel like this book is not very like heavily discussed in the book community. I've never seen anyone talk about this book, which is a shame. And I feel like our book club is really for those types of books because the next book that we're going to be reading, well, that we're already reading, The Skin and Its Girl, I already took the dust jacket off. So, yeah, exactly. Do you have the paperback or the hardcover?
Hardcover.
Yeah, same. So it's the same one as mine.
And I have my bookmark ready to go.
Yay. Yeah, I already have my bookmark in like the second chapter or something. But yeah, our next book, The Skin and Its Girl, I've never heard anyone talk about this book as well. So
same.
Yeah.
I saw it I was in a bookstore in Philadelphia with my friend, and they had this like centered faced out. I think it was a newer release, so I think that's why it was out. But it's a young queer Palestinian American woman's pieces together her great aunt's secrets in this sweeping debut, confronting questions of sexual identity, exile, and lineage.
Oh.
So sounds like a good time.
And that kind of like ties in perfectly with our nonfiction baddies book club pick, which is We Could Have Been Friends, My Father and I, a Palestinian memoir by Raja Shehadeh. And really excited about this one. Oh, you have a different cover.
Yes.
Interesting.
I like your cover too.
Yeah, they're both so cool. I didn't know that cover existed even.
I didn't either, but I bought this used again from Pengo Books for other Americans out there.
Amazing. How much was it?
Probably under $10. Sometimes they're like $10 or $12, but like unpopular books, the lesser known books are a lot cheaper, like $6 or $7.
Honestly, that's a steal because it's a book from last year. So
yeah, and that's how I got majority of our books for this book club, and I was like, wow, this is how the rich stay rich.
But honestly, those are really good prices.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Would have paid full price for them anyways, but
yeah, I don't even know how much I paid for this, but honestly, I feel like not overpaid. I'm not saying the book is bad, but like for the quantity, I probably overpaid. But yeah.
But just noticed that Nadia Owusu like wrote a quote for this book, and she wrote a memoir that I really liked. Aftershock.
Nadia.
Why can I do this?
Oh, Aftershock.
Yeah, it's on. I think I listened to it on Script. I highly recommend it. So that's a green flag for this book, I would say.
Yeah, I actually never look at like blurbs that books have on their covers and all of that. I never look at that, but
I do sometimes, like to see if an author stands out. But Books and Lala has done multiple videos where she reads books based off of those blurbs, and I'm like,
exactly. That's a good idea. Like looking at books that you really love and seeing the blurbs and seeing the authors that blurb that book. That's honestly, I would not be able to get there if it weren't for her. So
like the Excel spreadsheet she must have to do that. Like I'm not strong enough for that.
Yeah, same here. But yeah, those are our books for April. We're gonna be discussing it in the coming weeks. hopefully.
Yes, hopefully in the first or second week in May.
And yeah, for May, actually, I'm gonna get the book and I'm gonna show you because I just got our May book today in the mail. I'm gonna show you.
Oh, I don't even know what it is. It's gonna be a surprise.
It's the scent of burnt flowers, but
Ooh.
I got it from Amazon because I was just running short on time, and like it came like this, and the spine doesn't even align. Can you see that?
Get that
Like
refund.
the printing is all wrong, and I was just noticing before our live show. Look at where is it? This page.
Yeah, you should get that refund.
Like what the hell?
Thank
I'm
one.
so mad.
Go
I'm so
to
mad.
Jeff Bezos. Go to his house.
I know. I should because this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Because I was just looking at this, and I was like, what is this mark right here? And I opened it, and the page is all fucked. But anyway, this is our May book for anyone wondering.
More books
And
that I haven't heard anyone talk about, but
yeah, but I
that's
love
what
the
we do
cover.
best.
This cover is beautiful.
I know. Do you
So
want
that's
more?
why I'm mad. But yeah.
Yeah. I heard about my mom heard I think the author talk about this book on Good Morning America, and she was like,
Oh,
I feel like you would like this. And because the
oh,
author was promoting it, so then I pre-ordered the book and I still haven't read it. And I think it came out last summer, but hey, we're changing that in May.
yeah. Oh my God. This is a recommendation from your mom. Also, just noticed another page
I
that
know.
is fucking ruined.
That's bad.
Yeah, it is. But amazing. Recommendation from your mom. What a privilege.
I know. Hopefully it works out, but I think it will be because it sounds so interesting.
Yeah, it does. But anyway, we're just like rambling here. So we'll see you guys some other time.
Bye.